Good day, Crucian Mahogany here, and welcome back to my channel. I saw this video the other day that was posted by one of the news channels, and I kind of wanted to give my 3 cents on what I thought was being said in the conversation and kind of give perspective based on when I was in school and how things were done and said, etc. Just to kind of start conversation, and if people have anything to say, feel free to write anything in the comments that you'd like on your perspective. I'm gonna give my perspective. Let's see what they're talking about.
Kindergarten teacher at Barbara A. Harvey Elementary in Parrish, Florida. He is openly gay and has spoken about how this new law is going to impact his classroom. Corey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Just give me first your reaction.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
To the Florida governor signing this into law.
Yeah, it's twofold. It really hits hard in my heart professionally and personally, both. Professionally, it truly makes me feel like I am not trusted as a professional. I know my kindergarten standards through and through, and nowhere in our curriculum does it have anything about teaching sexual orientation or sexual identity. So for them to say that's happening, it's kind of crazy. But we should be able to have discussions, and that's what we're encouraged to do in kindergarten. And then personally, because my kids do have questions. They want to know who my partner is in pictures outside of my classroom, and I should be able to speak to that.
Okay, so first, I commend that there's not a conversation being had in schools from kindergarten to 3rd grade about gender orientation or sexuality. I commend that because children from kindergarten to pretty much all of elementary school, I don't think they need to be having those types of conversations. As far as the curriculum is concerned, absolutely, they need to be learning ABCs, they need to be learning 1, 2, 3s, they need to be learning how to draw, how to color, how to write. Now, what he's saying is, though, they should be able to have conversation so that he could talk about what he said. Go back a little bit.
My kids do have questions. They want to know who my partner is in pictures outside of my classroom, and I should be able to speak to that.
Okay. They want to know who my partner is in pictures outside of my classroom, and he should be able to speak to that. That's my friend, that's my partner. How much deeper do you need to speak to it? I say that because I don't think that it's necessary for the kids to be involved in your personal life. If you have those pictures up, I don't even see that it's necessary for you to have those pictures up in the classroom or outside your classroom, because pictures that should be in the classroom should have to do with the education. It's not about your personal life. You don't come to school to share personal stories and anecdotes, etc. I don't think that should be a big deal. As far as how much is it that you feel like you can't say. You have a picture of your partner. Okay, that's my partner. If they ask a question, and then we go back to the learning, the information they came to learn. It's not much that is a child's business when they're very small like that. So let's just keep going. Let's see how deep he wants to talk about it, because maybe I'm overreaching, but I think that there's adult business and there's children business. And children don't need to be in adult business. And children have their own little world that they need to work together to understand together. Okay? So anyway, let me keep going.
So do you worry that you won't even be able to talk about your own personal home life? I mean, I have a child in kindergarten right now. I know exactly that my child has 2 teachers, one of which has a daughter at home and is single. The other is married and has 4 children. I know everything about their lives because my kid tells me.
Absolutely.
Why does your kid need to know everything about your teacher life? I don't think that that's appropriate. I'll tell you this, when I was in elementary school, I didn't know nothing about my teachers, didn't care to know anything about my teachers. As a matter of fact, that's a distraction for children who already have so much to learn and so much to do, or they should have so much to learn and so much to do. Who cares about what a teacher is doing on their own personal time? Who cares if the teacher have children or not? Half of my teachers, I don't even know if they have children. And if they did, it's kind of like you find out by chance, like maybe their child come to the school or come to the classroom somehow. I didn't know who their significant other was. I didn't know if they were married or divorced or what. That wasn't my business, and it wasn't something that was spoken about in the classroom. It wasn't something that was necessary to be spoken about in the classroom because we got things to learn. We got to learn addition and subtraction and reading and writing, alphabet reciting, you know? That wasn't important. So as far as their parents knowing about it from the children, I think that's excessive. If the parent knows about it because they came to parent-teacher night and the teacher and the parent had that conversation, then absolutely feel free to ask as a parent, or as an adult, feel free to ask about the teacher if you want to get to know the teacher, etc. But as far as the children, that's not children business. Anyway.
You are 100% correct. That's what we do as educators. We build relationships with our kids. And in order to build relationships, you talk about your home life. You talk about what you do on the weekends. That's building community. It scares me.
Nope. Absolutely not. It's not necessary to talk about what you did on the weekend, to talk about what you did on your off time and build relationships. No. Especially in those young ages, who cares about your personal life? Who wants to build? You don't need to build any relationships. You need to build respect. There's boundaries, and there should be boundaries between teachers and students. You are not their friend. You are not their peer. You are not their colleague. There's not a reason to have a conversation with a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old about your personal life and what you're doing on your off time. Like, who does that? And you shouldn't be scared to not be able to do that. You said in the beginning of this video that you understand your role as a kindergarten teacher and blah blah blah. Especially kindergarten. Come on, these children, they're wetting their pants. They're just trying to be able to learn how to use the bathroom properly. They need to be able to learn how to eat properly. Who cares about what you're doing outside of the classroom? There's so much to learn on top of the curriculum itself that have nothing to do with your personal life. In kindergarten, I was not worried about what my teacher was doing. I was worried about being able to find out who this person was that was pissing their pants so I don't go sit next to them. I was worried about what time is recess. I was worried about what I gonna have for lunch. I was worried about which juice box is the best. The child is in a child's place for a reason, and it needs to stay very in a child's place. Adults, yes, you can have those conversations with the parents and the teachers and other people if you feel the urge that you need to talk about your weekend, if you need to talk about your personal life, if you need to talk about your partner, if you need to talk about your wife, your husband, whomever it may be. But it's not with children.
That I am not going to be able to have these conversations with my children because they're going to ask me what I did on the weekend. I don't want to have to hide that my partner and I went paddleboarding this weekend.
You open the door to a relationship with these kids that is unnecessary and can be quite distracting for a child. It's not necessary for them to know what you did this weekend. You don't have any friends? You don't have any friends? Your friends and family and maybe other teachers, your other peers, that's who you talk about, who your partner with and who you went paddleboarding with. Anyway, let's go.
Because then they ask, well, what does partner mean, Mr. Bernard? And, you know, I'm worried, can I tell them what it means? I'm also worried for my kids. I have a little girl this year who has 2 moms, and the kids are curious about her 2 moms. They want to know about her 2 moms. You know, if they go to her and ask her about her 2 moms and she doesn't know what to say, they're going to come to me and ask me. And then, you know, so what do? It opens up.
What do? You tell them, ask your parents. Let the kids have their own conversations between each other. And yes, if they come to you, you redirect them to their parents. It's not necessary for them to understand the whole ins and outs of your partner or someone having 2 moms from you. The child who has 2 moms, I'm sure their mom or one of the moms has given them some understanding of the scenario in which they feel comfortable to express to their child the idea of having 2 moms. And that child can then explain it to their peers. It wasn't necessarily the teacher that's supposed to be teaching me ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, multiplication, addition, whatever, subtraction. That wasn't the person that had the mantle, that held the stick to say that that's their responsibility to give me that type of education. No, it wasn't. It can come from family members or parents, and that's where it should come from, I think. My 3 cents again.
For parents to really take some legal action against the schools and teachers, and I am afraid for myself, my colleagues, and my students.
How do you expect to navigate that situation? Because
Wait, legal action as in what? What, you want to have it legal to create bonds with the children on a personal level? I don't get it.
As a parent of a young child, I want to celebrate difference, and I want my child to celebrate differences as well and to learn about them.
Then teach them. You want your child to learn about difference and celebrate them. Nothing wrong with that. You teach them. Why is it the role of the teacher to do all of this teaching? Not everything is the role of the educator that is supposed to teach your children how to read and write. Not everything is their role. Why should they even be in a position that it's even their right or role to teach them all of those things? You as a parent, what is your role? What are you supposed to teach? Is the teacher supposed to give everything to these children? No. You have to be taught at home. You have a curriculum. Your curriculum, whether it be reading, math, spelling, science, English. Those are your curriculums. Those are the things you should be learning from your teachers, whatever teacher it is. It's not necessary for them to tell you as a child about their day. Even if the child asks, it needs to be quite short and sweet. It doesn't need to be extensive. I went paddleboarding this weekend. Oh, did you have fun? Yeah, we had fun. What, you gonna pull out your phone and show pictures? How long are you gonna take to go through the pictures and, oh, that's my partner? I mean, who does that with children? It's actually inappropriate.
Absolutely. You know, it's hard to navigate, especially when you have words that are injecting, indoctrinating. When you have those words coming from, our state legislators and our higher government, those words, those are synonymous with some very hurtful words. And so when I think about navigating this bill, I am going to be mindful, but I'm going to follow my kids' discretion and what they want to discuss. And if they ask me, I'm going to be true and honest to them because it's who I am.
Follow the children's discretions and what they want to discuss. So now we've turned this world into a place where children are in charge. The adults don't play a role as creating boundaries for them. They don't have roles as in guiding them to what they should and shouldn't do. They are now in charge. What happens when children become the ones that are in charge? Why are we allowing children to be in charge of the conversation? It's inappropriate. I don't understand. This is so backwards to what I understand as what's okay and what's not okay. Of course, people have the right to think what they want to think. You can only learn what you're exposed to. We understand that children are immature, and all children have a different level of understanding. The kindergarten to at least 4th, 5th grade children, they're still developing. They're still trying to get an understanding of the basics. If we start to confuse those basics, it can go too far. Anyway, let's continue.
It's who you are. Corey Bernard, we celebrate who you are. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, throughout my school years and all of that, I mentioned that before, that a lot of the teachers, I didn't know whether they had children, whether they were married, it wasn't a part of my understanding, nor was it a part of my concern as a child. I was more interested in my peers and what we were doing. If somebody knew the teacher personally, they may know, but otherwise than that, we didn't really have conversation about our teachers that much. Let me tell you a story. I had a teacher when I was in the 5th grade, and this teacher, now we could tell that maybe he his sexual orientation may have been a gay man, because he had certain ways about him. He was the one I mentioned in one of my videos that he used to wear clogs. So he used to come clickety clacking down the hallway, and he had a little way he would sway down the hallway, the way he walked, the way he dressed, the way he interacted with people. You could kind of maybe make an assumption that he was gay. As far as the students in my class, we didn't ask him no question, and we didn't care what he did on the weekend. We didn't care who he did it with. We didn't care. But amongst ourselves, as the kids, as the students, we would maybe make a little, you know, is Mr. So-and-so, is he gay? But it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't focused on. It wasn't something that we cared enough about to like make it a big deal. As far as the lessons that he taught us, the education, the things he did, taught us a lot. And that's what we were focused on. That's what was important to all of us. Are we getting good grades? Are we learning our math? Are we learning our science? Are we learning this? Are we learning that? That was what was important. And I think that's what should be important. The funny thing about this too was that in that particular class, that teacher, he had an assistant, and his assistant was a woman. So we used to joke because it seemed as though that assistant had a crush on him, and it seemed as though, even though you could tell they were very friendly, that of course he not interested in her, by our assumption that maybe he was gay. Again, it was never confirmed or denied or even, you know, questioned, because who cares? He could live his life. We didn't know what they did outside of school. It wasn't something to have a conversation about. I don't understand this idea of now trying to have a relationship with children, creating a bond with children. It's not necessary. As a matter of fact, there needs to be boundaries between children and adults, and children need to be in their place, and adults need to be in their place. I wanted to give my 3 cents. Start a conversation in the comments below if you have your own perception of how this should go. But thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.